Hey everyone, today we're going to dive into a really simple but honestly super powerful story about how to quiet a restless mind. It's a little tale about a glass of water, but the lesson it holds is huge, and it might just change the way you think about, well, your own thoughts.
So, let me ask you something right off the bat. Does your mind ever just feel full? Like a non-stop highway with thoughts constantly whizzing by? Do you ever find it hard to just be still for a minute? If that sounds familiar, then you're definitely going to relate to the person at the center of our story today.
So let's meet our main guy, Marco. He's 24 years old and his mind, well, it's pretty much a constant storm. Thoughts are just crashing in and out all day long, leaving him completely drained and just unable to find even a single moment of quiet.
You see, he was completely trapped, always being pulled in two directions at once. His thoughts were either stuck in the past, full of sadness and regret, or they were lost in the future, filled with anxiety and worry. There was just no room left for right now.
And look, this wasn't just some abstract thing happening in his head. It was having a huge impact on his life. He was always feeling tired and uneasy. He could never ever feel calm. His sleep was awful. And maybe the saddest part of all, he had totally forgotten how to just smile.
So Marco's basically at the end of his rope. And that's when he hears about this wise old man living a quiet life up in the hills. And a little spark of hope ignites. Maybe, just maybe, this man has the answer. So Marco decides to set out on a long journey to find him.
So after days of traveling, he finally gets there. And the scene is just a perfect contrast. You've got Marco totally exhausted and mentally scattered, and then there's this old man just sitting in complete tranquility on his porch. He's the literal picture of the peace Marco is so desperately searching for.
But here's the thing. The wise man doesn't just start spitting out advice or giving a lecture. Nope. Instead, he proposes a task. A really unusual test that all revolves around a simple glass of water filled right to the brim.
The instructions sound simple, but they're incredibly demanding. He tells them, walk from here all the way to the edge of the village and then come all the way back. And here's the catch. You must not spill even one drop of water. Think about that. The level of focus required is going to be absolutely immense.
And you gotta understand, this wasn't some peaceful stroll in the park. The road was narrow and totally chaotic. You've got people rushing past, shopkeepers shouting, dogs barking. But Marco, his entire world just shrank to that one thing, that glass of water. Everything else just faded away.
So Marco gets back, and he hasn't spilled a drop. He's thinking, okay, I did it. I passed the test. But this is where the real lesson actually begins. The walk itself wasn't the point. It was the state of mind he had to get into to do the walk. That was the entire secret.
The wise man then looks at him and asks a couple of simple questions about the journey. He says, "Did you see the kids playing on the side of the road? Did you happen to hear the dogs barking?" All those distractions that were all around him.
And Marco's answer is just so simple and honest. He says, "No, I was only focusing on the glass." He couldn't have noticed any of it. His mind was 100% dedicated to that one single job, keeping that water steady. He was completely, totally in the present moment.
And that is the secret right there. By pouring all of his attention into that glass of water, his brain literally had no room left for his usual worries. There was no space to feel sad about the past or anxious about the future. For the first time in years, his mind was quiet.
With this incredible realization, Marco starts his journey home. But, he's not the same person who showed up. He's leaving with the answer he was looking for, and it wasn't some magic word or a secret technique. It was a profound understanding of how his own mind works. The guy who arrived was restless, uneasy, and worried. But the one leaving? He's calm, he's changed, he's peaceful. The world around him hadn't changed at all, but the world inside him was completely transformed. And this really is the heart of the whole story. Peace isn't a destination you travel to or something you have to go out and find. It's a state you can access right now. It was already inside Marco, just buried under all that mental noise. By focusing on the now, he was able to finally uncover it. So, that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. For Marco, the glass of water was a tool. It was his anchor to the present moment. So it makes you wonder, in our own lives, full of all the digital and mental distractions, what is your glass of water? What's that one thing you can focus on so completely that it quiets the storm?